Hi, today I'm going to show you a new Velosimo integration between Laserfiche workflow and different payment providers. Velosimo is an integration platform focused on the government market. We're considered the MuleSoft for government. We do nothing but connect to the different endpoints in government, different products like Laserfiche connected to CSG Forte or other type products. One of the needs we've discovered and seen is the need to be able to take payment from a Laserfiche workflow. So we find a lot of agencies maybe doing workflows within Laserfiche and at some point needing to email an applicant to request payment. This is a demonstration of a connector that Velosimo has created. We standardize this process across a number of payment providers. In this demonstration video, I'm going to show this process using Payflow Pro. Now I'm going to start, this is going to use a Laserfiche form to begin the process. This is not required, but this is how my demonstration is going to start. The Laserfiche form is a garage sale permit. I'm requesting the permit for 7 days for a total amount of $140. I'm going to go ahead and submit that. While that's submitting, I'm going to open my email. That is just now submitted into Laserfiche. I am now going to wait a moment and I'll be receiving an email for payment. So what happened on submission is the submission just triggered a Laserfiche workflow to run. The Laserfiche workflow triggered the payment to execute. So here I've just received an email asking me to pay the $140 fee for this garage sale permit. It's due on March 1st. I'm going to go ahead and click pay. I'm now at the Payflow Pro screen. So in this demonstration, we're showing Payflow Pro. Our integration connectors work for a number of different providers. You can see I'm being charged $140. I'm going to go ahead and pay for this now. Enter all of the necessary information. Go ahead and click pay. And done. So at this point, the applicant has now paid for that permit or what have you. But the great thing now, behind the scenes, another Laserfiche workflow has been invoked to essentially receive payment. So I have now received another email just to show that. This email was triggered from a Laserfiche workflow. A little uglier email, but shows the data. So here you're seeing the information that was sent from the payment provider about the transaction and all the detailed information. Now I'm going to dive in and show how this works behind the scenes a little bit. So to recap, we just witnessed a Laserfiche workflow triggering payment from email. And once paid, payer received the email. That was me. I clicked paid. Received the payment, went over to Payflow Pro to be able to enter the credit card information. Once paid, triggered a workflow to receive that payment, which triggered another email to me. So how this works, I'm going to dive into the Laserfiche forms process designer behind this. So when I submitted that form, it triggered a Laserfiche workflow. I have a Laserfiche workflow called send to Velosimo. I'm going to now jump over to our Laserfiche workflow server to show how this works. This can be now from any Laserfiche workflow. At some point in your workflow process, you're able to make an HTTP post call. This is what triggers the process to actually send the email. So envision if you have a more complex Laserfiche workflow managing a renewal process or managing some other type of process, and at some point you need to go for payment. At the point you need to invoke payment, you can do that using the post to Velosimo. So the information for Velosimo is here. We're able to post in a number of different variables that are required. So a reference ID, the amount that needs paid, that we're doing this via email, and the email address. And then at this point, there are a number of other variables that can be sent. These variables can be used inside of the email. So I'm going to pull up the email template. So the email template here, you can see the garage sale permit, the name, the amount, the due date. Those are all variables that are coming through the Laserfiche workflow. The API allows you to define any values you would like. So if you'd like to pass more data to be available on the email, you can do that. So sky's the limit. This is a template within Velosimo that you have the ability to edit. So quite a bit of flexibility in what you'd like to do. So this is the way to trigger the process to start, right? So to recap, we're looking at the process to send the email. Now, once paid, another Laserfiche workflow, so once paid, will be invoked to let you know payment was received. So now looking at the other workflow, I have a receive from Velosimo. This is the workflow that Velosimo is calling that I've created at this point. This workflow that we're calling, we're sending in a couple of variables, the reference ID, the transaction ID, and the transaction status. So those are information from the payment provider. Then the next thing I'm doing in this particular workflow, we have the ability then to make a call to Velosimo to get more information. So using the reference ID, I'm able to then make a call to get more information that I may want to use later in my workflow. In this case, I'm having a trigger an email, which is just printing out that information that you're able to see here in the payment received email. So there's the payment received email. It was triggered with the transaction information that was posted in. This is, in this case, the payment or the Payflow Pro transaction ID. Here is the response from the Velosimo API with all of the information returned from Payflow Pro. Again, this is something that works across other payment providers. So in this demonstration video, it's just showing Payflow Pro, but will work across a number of payment providers. And the great thing is this all runs on the Velosimo platform. So all of the transactions involved in what you're seeing have been running here. You're able to see the email that was sent, the workflow that was called. I can drill into this. I'm able to see the transaction call to run the workflow, making an API call to the Velosimo workflow, Laserfiche workflow API, which is provided by Laserfiche, all of the great stuff provided by Velosimo, as well as I can go into, in this case, PayPal, into their backend, to the manager interface, and I'm able to see the transactions. So I can see now that transaction that I just executed, $140 here, right? ID CA01. It's the same ID if I were to open the email once again that we're seeing here. So complete reconciliation, well as a deep link here right into the transaction data. So a number of things that we're providing.